I'm not going to talk about AR pistols anymore. I've said my piece, and the people are going cray-cray about it. I don't think I'm going to talk about Wuhan flu either. I'm just... boring. Oh, hello. Welcome to Viking Preparedness. I am Pastor Joe Fox. What we are going to talk about today is another one in our continuation on the Bugging Out series for an alternative, a relatively inexpensive alternative for bugging out. And so we'll get into that. But wait, there's more. A couple little things. Housekeeping. We have new Vikings. Welcome. I think it's because my last YouTube video is pretty popular. It's going up to 30,000 views, I think, which for me is a lot. I know some people post a video and an hour later there's 1 million hits. That's not me. So welcome, new Vikings. Couple rules for the road here that trip up normal people, which you are sometimes, and some that are just common sense. Common sense. Be nice. Be cool. We don't tolerate snarkiness too much here. Don't try to score points on people. You're free to have differing opinions from me or anybody else. If you disagree, say so, and then let it go. You don't need to say it 1,000 times. Don't write the same thing 15 times in different posts. No, once. Say your piece and be done. No links in the comments down below. No links in the comments. But if you want to post links, please do so with wild abandon over in the community section, which as you're looking at the board, I think is over here down on the bottom. You can post, it's kind of like your own blog post. A recommendation, if you post a link to a video, which a lot of people do with some commentary by you, go ahead and give a little bit of commentary on the video. Don't just post a link or with like a short little blurb. Let people know what they're looking at. A lot of people don't have time to go check out a video to see what it is you're talking about. Tell them up front, and if they're interested, they'll go. Yeah, so be cool. Don't post links. If you want to email me, New Vikings, that's the best way to contact me. Do not send me a Patreon message. Email me. My email address is vikingservices@hotmail.com. In the subject line, put your, are you a Viking, a warrior, a jarl, or a berserker? And I kind of answer them as I get to them in order. So there's that. Pretty simple. Okay, let's get, and then one more thing. So I love the Ozarks. I love winter in the Ozarks because the ticks and chiggers are gone and it never gets that cold here. Today is February. What's today, sweetie? The 2nd, 3rd?
I think it's the 3rd.
It's Sunday, whatever part of February that is. And it's going up to almost 70 degrees. My dogs have already had some ticks on them, so the ticks are coming out. I'm not really overly worried about ticks. I don't like chiggers. And they're not out yet. But all that being said, it is going to be a gorgeous day, a day in which I would run the trails on the property and then probably hike with my wife later and do a lot of outside work normally. However, PJ, what are you doing, man? I injured myself 2 days ago. I chalk it up to lack of fitness. That's what I chalk it up to. I was carrying 2 5-gallon cans of water. They might have been 6-gallon cans, but whatever. The plastic buckets of water farmer carry. And I had to step up onto something and then stand up with them. A simple task that I've done many times with the buckets. But the day before that, I had been really working out my legs and my knees, and I'd been doing the stretches where you step on a step and drop your heels and then stand up on your toes and do that. It's really good for your calves, and it also stretches out your tendons in your knees. Well, I must have weakened it because I'm not as fit as I should be. And so the next day when I did that step up with the buckets, I twanged something in the part behind your knee. Not the hard little tendons, but the soft muscle, tendon, whatever. Oh my gosh. I don't walk around very good, and my wife is being hard with me because I'm a horrible patient, and she's saying, you will rest today, you will sit there. I'm taking a leave, which seems to reduce the swelling. My knee swelled up to, I don't know, 50% bigger than the other one. It normally has a little bit of swell in it because, you know, paratrooper knees, but and it's not the knee cap, it's the muscles behind the knee. So there, I know, like old people talking about their ailments. But it's a real thing. I could not bug out on foot today very well at all if we had to. If I had to, what would you do, PJ, if you had to? I would take some really good painkillers. I would reduce the weight of my bug out bag to bare essentials. We're talking probably 20 pounds, 30 pounds max of everything. And then just go for it. Suck it up. I've got my knee wrapped. We're icing it on and off. We'll start applying heat in a day. There. Your prayers are welcome. Okay. But enough about me. What do you think about me? All right. That's from my friend Albo from many years ago. But enough about me. What do you think about me? Hey, another option of bugging out, and I saw somebody here post it as like it was their alternate plan or something like that, and I was going to write them a long comment, and then I thought, you know what, it's a good video, so I will. I'm sorry I don't remember who it was that said it. The way I scan through the emails and the comments really fast, I don't really focus on your name. I just look at what you're saying. They said they have a plan if they have to bug out in an emergency or something like that. Let me just take it and run with it. Using their motorhome and using that as a alternate bug out. They can go wherever they want. They can live out of it. It has everything you need. It has a stove, has a bed. It's watertight, airtight, you know, blah, blah, blah. Great idea. I think it's an excellent idea as far as it goes, but I think it's a good idea. We have a massive road network in this country. Not all RVs are created equal. You know, if you get the extended bus version, like the band tour bus, that's not going to go as many places as the shorter, lifted up a little bit RVs. So, things to consider. I suggested to this person, that they practice boondocking if they don't already. And boondocking is simply taking one's RV or camper trailer or whatever and going to a campground or not that doesn't have services. So you don't have electricity hookup and water hookup and you know, you don't have anything. It's like the equivalent of parking in that pasture over there, right? Or parking on the side of the road in the woods. And then people do that. And there are actually boondocking sites. I have a friend who has he started out setting up a boondocking site to let people boondock there. I think that's what they call it when the people bring their campers or whatever and just have a place to park and sleep. But then, because it did so well, he's now since added septic and water and electricity to his site for people. So it's no longer really a boondocking site. But whether it's a pull-behind camper, whether it's a motorhome, I think that if you haven't yet done so, you should boondock. Because reading about it and going, oh yeah, we could do that, it's like anything else. You have to get out there and do it, and then you'll learn with your rig what works the best. And what do you need? You probably need different things in the rig when you're boondocking than when you're staying at KOAs or whatever. So that's one part of this. The other part of this is any vehicle. There's some pretty good videos out there on people who live in their vehicles and how they convert their van, their pickup truck, their car to living in. And most of them are choosing to do so for economic reasons. And I wish I could remember the name of the channel I used to watch a lot. Had some guy with a big gray beard, bigger than mine, came down to here, and he would just interview all these different people on his channel. I thought it was instructive. But taking a vehicle and preparing it to live out of is an interesting concept. Now, the bigger the vehicle within reason, the better. You know, a Honda Civic CVCC, is that what they're called? Probably not as good as a, you know, King Ranch, King Cab F-250 lifted with an over-the-top camper on it, right? I mean, give and take. But you do the best you can with what you got where you're at, right? I like the guys in the UK, the bushcrafter, boondocker kind of guys. They get together. A lot of them have military style rigs, and you know they've got them all outfitted. It's like their hobby, and they go camping out of their rigs. Cool. Man, you talk about a bug out vehicle, right? And you can go all the way to, well, if I had the perfect bug out vehicle, I would do that. Whatever, man. Unless you have a lot of money, what do you have? Or if you're in the market for a new vehicle, whether that's new or used, and you have a couple options, choosing an option that would be better for bugging out would be helpful. When Sister Kate and I were fairly newly married, I don't know, 3 years or so, I was going to the Special Forces qualification course. I was young, and we bought a pickup truck from a guy at Fort Bragg, used. I think it was a 78 F100. But we bought it for cash, and so we owned it outright, no car payments, and then we bought a cap that just fit. It was a long bed that fit over the bed. You know, we bolted it down and it sat on the bed, so we had enclosed space long in the back of our truck. And I remember we were talking and we were saying, man, you know, if everything goes to heck in a handbasket for us financially, we could live in this truck. You know, we'll just set up the 2 sleeping mats, and our son was a baby at the time, put him in there, and worst case, we could live in this. Well, there's things to... So we started taking that truck camping. And if you camp repeatedly with your vehicle, that, and again, I'm talking about turning it eventually into a form of bugging out. It's not as good as having a prepared place somewhere, but you do have mobility. If you do it a lot... Okay, I'm doing a video right now. If you do it a lot, you develop your own little personal techniques. And one thing that's pretty cool is with any kind of vehicle, let's say it's going this way, front of the vehicle, back of the vehicle, figuring out a way to rig tarps off the top and out, which extends your living area on the vehicle. Now, that could be something as simple as a big tarp that you just put over top of the vehicle and stake out on little poles. What kind of poles? Poles you cut on site, poles you wrap up every time you're done and stick them in the bed of the truck, you know, whatever, but an awning. It's just like with campers and motorhomes. They have the retractable awnings that, you know, can pull out and hook up. It adds a lot to your life. Where do you pack the things? Where do you pack the kitchen? You know, whatever you're going to cook with, whether that's on a fire or a little gas setup that you put on the tailgate or whatever. How do you organize all that? But as opposed to living out of a rucksack, having a vehicle that you have put some thought into, whether that vehicle, again, is a car, a pickup truck, a sport utility vehicle, a camper, a tow-behind camper, blah, blah, blah. It adds to your quality of life quite a bit. And again, if you could just pull up into a safe place. Now, you're going to have to identify safe places to go. And I guess we'll get to that in this video a little bit. But if you could just pull up and set up camp set up, and you have some kind of hard structure, a lot of times that's better, right? Or you can carry a much more significant tent in a vehicle than you can on your back. You know, like a wall tent of heavy-duty material kind of thing. So there's that. Now, so you have your vehicle, you've gone camping with it, or you're starting to go camping with it. It's a fine time to go camping in most of the country right now. You start camping, you start developing techniques, you start keeping things in there. You can't just rest on your laurels with that. Well, I can go anywhere. I can go anywhere. That's not a plan. So you should have ideas of where it is you're going to go. And ideally, go there and camp now. You know, like, well, we could go to this part of the national forest. Okay, what are you going to eat 3 weeks later? We could go out here into the tall grass prairie. Okay, well, what are you going to eat 3 weeks later? You have to think about these things. You have to think about long-term water. Because see, if you just go camping for the weekend, and you do that multiple times, you'll get really good at that, but you kind of start not seeing the long range things. I think it was the last bug out vehicle that I talked about. What's your long-term plan? You always got to have a long-term plan for your bug out. This could be your bug out to wherever you go. You could be there for 2 years. You know, so what's your plan for that? But you could go scope out Aunt Millie's. You could go scope out Cousin Zeke's, your friend from college or the military or whatever, their place. Start thinking about things like that. And for those of you who aren't even necessarily considering it as a bug out option, which I think you should, it kind of goes into another whole subgenre of stuff on the internet about your BOV, man. What do you store what's your EDC for your BOV? You know, right? What do you always have in your vehicle? In addition to keeping the vehicle rolling, security apparatus, first aid, communication, you know, all that stuff. Give some real thought to camping, for lack of a better term. What kind of stuff do you have in there to camp long term? All right, and I guess another thought comes. I didn't write this out ahead of time with notes. I believe there's a difference in what you roll around with every day in your car, in your vehicle, because you use your vehicle for other things, right? You're not constantly ready to bug out at any given time, man. You know, in your vehicle, unless you have more money than sense and you leave your BOV parked somewhere ready to go. If you can do that, cool. I'll come back to that. So you should have your rolling around stuff, your EDC, your everyday carry for your BOV, for your vehicle. But once you're like, okay, yeah, we may have to bug out, you probably change some things, right? We take up more space with survival supplies, bugging out supplies kind of thing. It's less useful for going to get groceries, that kind of thing. Keeping it ready to go. If you have a trailer or a motorhome or a Class C camper or the pickup truck setup that you don't normally drive anywhere, it is kind of your dedicated camping, bugging out vehicle. That's what you use it for. I use it for camping and I have a plan to use it for bugging out. But other than that, it's not anywhere close to a daily driver. I kind of park it over there in my parking lot or driveway or backyard or whatever. That thing should be squared away and ready to go all the time. My father, who's not a survivalist, he's not a prepper. He'll tell you, no, we're not a prepper. They have a Class C camper. They used to have an over-the-top on an F-250 camper, and then they went from that, get a little older, and they got a Class C camper that has a bit of a lift to it, and it can get places. And again, he's not a prepper. But when he takes it up when he goes hunting, and he'll park it like as a base camp or something like that. But soon as they get back, man, within 2 days, that whole thing's been emptied, cleaned, because he's Austrian, don't you know? Everything must be in order. Alles in Ordnung? Jawohl. Everything comes out, the thing gets like sterilized clean, and then everything gets put back, cleaned. Putbacks like spring cleaning, and all the foods and things that go in there. That thing's ready to go. He could decide at a moment's notice to go hunting or they go hiking and stuff to look at waterfalls and stuff. That's what it's for. But it could also, they could bug out in it. Oh, we'd never have to bug out. They could bug out in it like that. So things to think about. Keep it ready. Keep it maintained. Keep it ready to go. And when you're building your kit, for lack of a better term, think long term. It's a good alternative. And when you get to your bug out location, like let's say you're living here and this is plan A, I'm going to stay here, this is good, oh, we got to go. We go to our bug out location, which is, a cabin, Aunt Millie's, whatever, boom. You got to have a plan to bug out again, right? sometimes fitting into that niche is this vehicle. Have it ready to go, and you will be more prepared to deal with what's coming. All right. I hope y'all are doing well. I am still watching the coronavirus. I remain unconcerned at the moment. I know what's going on. And some of you are sending me a whole lot of links and stuff. I appreciate it, but time being what it is. All right. I'll see you out there.